off the track, baby.
In Japan, where the sun will always shine, traditions collide with the future's line. Through city streets and temples high, find your story beneath the sky. Waves crash, pumping out your sense. Harmony flows to the best of lands. In the neon glow, there is bent. The culture rich, where reason stands. In the morn of grace, we'll dance the night with every star, a guiding light. In Japan, where the sun will always shine, traditions collide with the future's line. The cherry lanes and soaring heights, find your magic in the moonlit nights.
I mean, so that I can actually hear you guys, hear the game, and hear things, when I can possibly do it. But for now, it's in no way, shape, or form are we absolutely anywhere for these things. We're getting ourselves ready to go. Now, of course, I don't have a lot of things I have a lot of different things situated, and a lot of things going on within a game like this that I wanted to really come in and say I'm enjoying the game. I'm enjoying what we've got. I've actually finally fixed the issue of a lot of that thing, the being able to get into certain countries that, you know, the Fairy Killer. I thought the Fairy Killer was what they really need to do is rename Fairy Killer. I think it should be rename that to basically base game Fairy Killer. Instead, just add the base game Fairy Killer, or basically change the fairy so that it's like it shouldn't be optional. I think it should not be optional. You know, I didn't need to be the one to stop, but that's gonna help us now in getting to a lot of other places in the game. But I wanted to really come in and tell you, thanks Sigma Lover 95 for joining the TikTok live. Is that we have a lot of things going on within the situation. There's a lot of political things going on, but one of the things that I really wanted to really preface and really say that, You know, um, I literally came in. Guys, be careful what you see on these platforms. Be careful, because sometimes you might not get everything that is going to tell you the absolute truth. Um, or they're going to use somebody else's thing and take it as their own. Um, just be aware of that. Um, Wait, have I visited this place before? Oh yeah, duh. We're not. Oh, yeah, I have visited this. We're not in do a lot of things, but just be careful, because look, I was browsing through I think like TikTok or one of these platforms that, as I was going through and listening to the issues at hand, or just basically just finding something to to do so, I came across this video that was talking about this person the um, from the United States going into Canada as a nursing, 55 years of age, being going into the the medical field in Canada, no, moving from the United States as a doctor from California. Like, you're leaving California going to Canada. I understand. And there are times where people who leave because of uncertainty. It's one of those things that really kind of makes you wonder, and makes you wonder what's going on and what can be done in instance in an instant on a lot of what's being done, and why people have a lot of disdain for this country. Like, I've been like, I have like 5 different people that I've sit and watch that are American citizens or are from another country, that you know that are basically like, I pretty much watch somebody who lives in Japan, who's an American citizen living in Japan. A um I watch a trans person who is an American living in Spain, um living in Europe, pretty much. I watch, you know um these things where a lot of these problems that are compounded is, if you are somebody that feels like that you are struggling, and you feel like that you're not going to be able to get the best care, the best life here in America, it's like, sometimes you might lose a lot of things to gain a better life. There are a lot of things that, you go to Japan, you lose some things that you will lose in Japan that you will be able to not have here in America. I mean, that you will be able to have here in America, and so forth, and so forth. You go to Europe, and you'll have those exact same things. You go to Canada, there will be differences that you will have that will be different. That'll be a different. Oh wait, that's 90. Ha 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 ha. Thinking it was 80. It's one of those things where you need to pay attention and need to really think about what goes on and what is going on within each area Um, and figuring those things out. Like, you're going to go to Canada and expect to have this drink the same pop in Canada. You might be able to drink some of those things, but you probably won't. Um, you go and you expect to live uh in Japan. You're not going to be able to drink the same things here in America, in Japan, and and Netherlands, and all these other places. Like, you really have to think about that. You go to Japan, you don't have a dryer. Your dryer is basically you hang your clothes up to dry. You um and a lot of things that really go on in that. And you go to Europe, you're not going to have a dryer. Some countries won't have dryers. But guess what? That's the whole point. Is it doesn't matter about what you lose and what you gain and what you are doing. If you go to, say, um uh need to make sure I'm going. Okay, so it's one of those things where you go and you look at these places that you might not be able to have the um you may not you may not be able to have the ability to have these guns. Okay, and you love guns, you're really into it, but you're just feeling like, you go to these countries, not every country's gonna allow you to have them. And you have to really think about what you really want. Do you care about more about your guns, or do you care about more about just life of quality? What comes into when you compound and looking at these things going to other countries? You can't just say that you go to these countries and say you're going to have everything that you expect to have here in America. You're not. There are going to be a lot of things that you won't have. There'll be a lot of things that'll be healthier for you, um, and a lot of things. And trust me, there are going to be healthier options. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to make your life a lot better. You go into Japan. Yes, they do have a problem with homelessness, but it's slowly dying out. They're slowly trying to figure things out. And it's the same thing. It's like you may say that there's bad parts of every country. There are bad parts in everywhere. Every country has bad problems. Every country has issues. No country is safe from having. No country is perfect in their thing. It's like some countries don't have freedom of speech that they're supposed to have, like Russia, and now the United States apparently coming in, and countries that are falling apart even though we try to save them, like Australia, like Venice. I think it's like the peso. One of these countries where the peso is, well, I think it's Argentina, if I'm not mistaken, or Venezuela. I'm not for sure. It's one of those two. I may be wrong. Where Trump sent 40 billion down to this country, and they're not, and based on the country that's going on, like, they are really thought after. And look, I'm gonna tell you, like no country is perfect. No country is going to ever be. Safety, like if it's the number one safest country in the world, it's not completely 100% safe. It just means that there are very, very few and far between of violence or anything going on or any crime going on in that country. It's just gonna be minuscule for it. But you also gotta realize how many people living in that country. There's gonna be compound problems in every country. Um, with it. And when you look at this and you say, well, you are leaving the United States, um, and I was watching a CBC news article, on a news thing about this lady who basically, like I said, who moved to Canada as a professional because of what Trump's doing, as a doctor, as a nurse, and actually getting the care that is absolutely needed for the this care. And to be honest, a lot of these places and a lot of these things are really um problematic, because when you look at these problems in the United States, we have um we have somebody that's wanting to take wanting more money. He's basically building a ballroom with the White House being destroyed. Basically, not supposed to happen. It only happened one time that the United States had built this White House at one point, you know. But you have to give congressional approval and all of this before you can even do anything. Which, all he had to do was just go to his Democrats and say, all to his Republican base, and just say, hey, just feed this to me and give it to me. It's like, okay, Congress gave approval to it, you know? But he didn't even go after that. He didn't even make sure that he didn't even make sure that he did that even. And it's just ridiculous to see what's going on. Going on with that. And it's just ridiculous. And it's just ridiculous to see people think that they're going to have the perfect point and perfect life. Like, nobody is perfect. Nobody is that way, but I was watching this thing, a couple of videos, and just reading through the comments and saying that, you know, that you go and you look at these compounding things, or there are two things that really bother me the most. Okay? There are two things that bother me the most when it comes to is that Taobao? um there's this thing that bothers me so much is when I say that, oh, California's a bad place. California's bad this. California's bad, bad, bad. But they don't. But do you live in California? Have you actually lived there? And do you live there currently? I and if you are telling me this, then you need to get out of California. If you think that, if you live in Minnesota, like if you live here in Minnesota, and you're gonna complain that in Minnesota that it's a bad place to live here in Minnesota, then don't live in Minnesota, because you have your own ideals and own beliefs, and leave. If you don't like something, leave. You know, don't come and complain. Don't complain and say that you're having issues with it, that you're having a problem with it. Because you don't. Because there's not an issue. It's like you're gonna complain about sports on this, and I've seen a lot of people saying, "Oh, that Minnesota's starting to become worse than California." It's like, no, California might actually be even worse than Minnesota, to be honest. If you're really gonna talk about it, because but see, if you're gonna talk about that Minnesota's becoming worse than California, then your narrow-mindedness is basically you're choosing to listen to what? You are choosing to listen to basically just sit there and you're listening to it, and it's like, you sit there and you listen to Fox News and they're going to tell you whatever they want to tell you that's a lie. It sometimes... But I forgot about my headlight usage. Crap. I forget sometimes. Where you look at the issues within these companies, and not these companies but these states, and say that you say that Minnesota's bad, but then why are you going to say that Minnesota's a bad place when there are literally other countries that are worse off than freaking Minnesota because of a trans issue going on? There are literal countries that are falling victim to war right now. And I don't care. You can say that whatever. There's places that are falling victim because of healthcare and problems with currency falling apart. The yen is falling. The peso, and these other places, and you want to complain about a trans sports that that you're narrow-minded on these things. You're only this way, and like there people out there that are female, that were misgendered because of a clinical error, because this person cannot play male sports because this person's female. Well, but that person's not female. That person was mistakenly identified. There are times where there are people who have mistakenly bad record on these documents because sometimes they're in a rush, sometimes they misspell the name of somebody, they misspell the name on somebody's birth certificate and they spell it this way, sometimes they miss things. We're all human, we make mistakes, and they're now, but thankfully Minnesota's still standing up with the rights for trans people. They're still standing up for the rights of protecting transgenders and protecting those people in America, and they are, and I'm happy for it. I am happy that Minnesota is at least standing in the right direction. It's gone back to the lower courts, of course, but to whether it's a financial problem or whether it's not. But remember, at least the Supreme Court stood on the merit of protecting trans people for now. Hopefully that stays that way, and hopefully we can keep it going, because to be honest, the problem is it's not sports. Like if you want to complain and say that sports are bad, then why don't you go look at the World Olympics and go look at the records that are held by these men and women, and look at all these records. Now, I'm not going to talk I'm not talking about just the 100 meter. But last I looked, the 100 meter dash is pretty much 1 second, about 1 point something between each other, maybe even less than that. Like, it's 1 second, and if you put those two together, which you can't, because one one was done in 1985 for the women, done in the 80s. The other one was done in the 20 in early 20s, 21st century. The other one was done in the 1900s, kind of thing. And so you have to really think about. But if you put those two together, and you make those together, they're gonna be equally they're gonna be equally against each other, because what's gonna happen is if you have somebody that's a little bit faster than you, okay, you're going to break that personal record of yours. If you make 10 seconds, if you make that 110 seconds, and the man makes it 9 seconds, and compared to the women, that woman is going to work her butt off, to make that 9 seconds, to work with that, to go and if you just put them together, and you will have easy. You're going to have easy wins. You're going to have things that are going to be such an easy way of thinking about it. And you can look at all these other sports out there that have these things. It's like you look at it and you cannot, that have physical timings and physical things. You can basically claim and say that trans women have a problem, trans women have this, trans women are ruining sports, when you don't even realize how many trans people, look at their timings, look at all these things that are going on. Are they able to beat the world Olympics record? Because you can't. And you cannot complain to come and say to me that they're winning records, that they're getting 10-second records or 9 seconds on these things, when a lot of these things aren't necessarily done to put things into perspective. And you complain, like, and if you're going to complain about it, then why don't you go and get yourself chromosomal tested? And if you come back and tell me that you have an X chromosome or an XY chromosome, and I guarantee you, if everybody in the United States did that, not everybody's going to have that XY chromosome. And there are going to be people who aren't disabled, who don't have a disability or anything, are going to have an extra chromosome, are going to have the XXY. There are going to be people that are only going to have an X chromosome, not a Y chromosome at all. There are going to be people that only have the Y, that don't have any X chromosome and have the Y chromosome. There are going to be people out there that have those things, and you can't do that and listen and believe the things that are being said to you. And the point that I'm trying to make is that you can't believe everything that's being said, because it's like you can go and listen to Fox, like you can go and listen to these people and say that is, but then what's the other side saying? What's the other side saying? That all they're doing is this, but then all the right's doing is complaining about this as well. Like, they don't have any other talking points other than these two things. Like, the left say that it's it's going to help save a trans life, but the right's saying that no, it's not. It's harming them. But yet they do that. They're also out there wanting to instill that's saying, oh, there's an advantage, and I'm like, okay, there's an advantage, but I was also watching um a sport where somebody did get hurt and lost the chance to be able to have a career. Almost lost the chance to be able to continue to play sports because of some illegal move that somebody did in a wrestling match or whatever. And it's like these people don't really get this. A lot of people don't really see that there are a lot of physically able-bodied people who are out there who are a woman that will be judged and be said that they are not a woman because they are trans. There are going to be people out there that are going to say that, that, oh, this person's trans because you're narrow-minded and you want to take control of everybody's life. You want to take control and you want it to be your way or the highway. And that's not right. We should not be forcing other people to follow your belief, to follow your ruling, to follow your life. It's the same thing. It's the one thing that I'll tell you. It's like, I want, like, if it was that point and said, okay, we're going to do this, and we're going to say you're there about protecting kids, and you say you're pro-life, but yet you are not wanting to, letting kids have free school lunches at school, making sure that kids have making sure that kids have access to getting the best care is needed, making sure that they have the health care, making sure that, families, that if a kid is really sick and they have to go home from daycare and you need to take care of them, they need to be able to have the right to be able to go home and take care of that child and not have to rely on a lot of these things. They go home and do that. We need to make sure that women have the prenatal care that's needed to make sure they can have the best care to taking care of that child. But you're not pro-life when you decide you don't want to do any of those things, when you don't want to help a child. Like, oh, it should be all on the lives of the parents. Well, the parents may not be able to support their child all the time. There's always this thing that, and we look at the United States and it's like, and you look at these Republicans and saying that they are pro-life, they don't want abortion, but then they're not wanting to give care and give the necessary care to keep that child alive and keep that child thriving and making sure that they have good things. And see, this is why I stand with Minnesota on a lot of things. Like, you can tell me that Minnesota is a bad place and say it's becoming worse than California. You cannot tell me that California is worse than Minnesota, because you want to go out there. It's like, then why do I always see, when I go in, why do I see that in Minnesota, why do I see that children are getting the food that they so rightly deserve to have, and they have every stinking right to be able to have a free school meal lunch, free school lunches, free meals for students, to help them, to make sure that they're not getting bullied. Sometimes all it takes is one small act of kindness to change and make sure that people are getting better. And there are a lot of people out there that don't get this care. That you look at these people who are right-leaning or left-leaning, and you look at this and it's like most of the time it's like, I try not to get into politics 24/7. I try to take my mind and try to stay away from politics. Not I'm not perfect at this, but I'm trying my best to not always have politics be on 24/7, making sure that I have and actually take life. It's like, look, I don't sit there and watch. Like, I listen to politics for a little bit for this after my afternoon show, for my afternoon live streams, but that's it. It's all I. That's all I do. You know, um, and I listen to it while I'm making supper, and that's about the only time I do. I don't I don't go out and listen to it 24/7 every day. I'm trying to take a day to where, like I take Saturday where I don't always get political, but it's like I try to take Saturday and I don't talk to you guys. I make sure that there's a day where we don't talk politics. We don't get into talking politics and stuff. And it's on Saturdays where I don't. Because the point of it is I don't live stream on Saturday. I go and listen to Barnacles. And, I make sure that we are, like, fully talking about it. And it's like, one of the things that, that Trump is pretty much trying to rob America blind, trying to take money from American people. And he's doing it by giving it to other people, robbing it, stealing it from us, helping another country that's falling apart, and taking the money that basically he was wrongfully violated against because he had problems with him being investigated. So now he wants $230 million from us. He's like, he's the embodiment of not somebody that, is out there and doing what's right and doing the best thing that we can in America. He's the one that's trying to ruin America, destroy it, destroy what it's meaning. The country is built on we the people, not we the king, not we the president. Okay, not as in I, myself. All of those things is not. We should not be following a president. We should not be following a dictator. We should not be following and listening to only one person and only one voice. The Supreme Court, like, yes, the Supreme Court's there. Yes, there are a lot of things that are there, but to be honest, there's a lot of problems with us just following one person. If we start just listening to only one person and we follow, we're never going to be able to think properly. We're not going to think straight when we're only told to believe this thing, and not having listened to somebody else is belief. Like, you go and you sit there and you listen to Fox News, like I was listening to the Ring of Fair and Balanced today. And on Fair and Balanced, basically was talking about how he was taking some days off to go to Las Vegas and just take a little bit of some time off. And he comes back, and on his way back, he was talking about how this guy's just sitting there watching Fox News, sitting there always wanting Fox News, always wanting to listen in and listen to what they're saying, listen to everything that's there. It's like, I don't listen to everything that Midas Touch is saying. I get maybe I'll listen to like 2 or 3 things from him, Tennessee Brando, or I'll listen to a couple of different of David Packman. Occasionally I'll listen to some stuff, but I also am trying to not listen to as much and still try to get some stuff, because I don't want to be out and not listening. But but I don't want to also um um but I also go and listen to like gaming news, and I didn't get into a lot of political list like a lot of these political listenings. But with him, it's like when he was talking about how this guy basically was coming in and like just always double take on everything, like going and listening to TikTok. Like I don't go on TikTok and listen to political news. I get trans content. I want trans content. I want content that's related to being basically transgender. And that's what I when I'm on YouTube, I get political news, but I also get technology news and things. Things that actually seem um really like stuff that I want to see and stuff. And then I go on Facebook and I don't get those things. I get, these funny videos, funny things that are just, things that are probably rot your brain and stuff. Like I'm don't get political content on Facebook. I don't get that. I get it sometimes on TikTok, um, but I don't get it completely. The only two places that I get political content is, and not all of it's political content. Um, you know, I get content from um uh, I get content from uh on Instagram. I get political content and some non-political content. Some things where a lot of these things are like that, and it's just thanks to Selen Gonzalez for joining the TikTok live. And it's like the same thing. It's like, look, like I do get some of that, but it's mostly gaming news. Most of it is just things where I don't go on Facebook just to get. I hardly ever do visit Facebook, um, and most of the time it's just seeing the reels on Facebook, seeing the shorts. When I come to YouTube, like most of the time I'm getting some political news, but most of it's just seeing other countries, seeing Japan, seeing different light and technology, and that's what mostly I get here on the TikTok, I mean on YouTube. And most of the time I get like Family Guy and Simpsons stuff, and I don't get a lot of other things, because the whole point of this is I just want to tell you that I don't get political news like constantly 24/7. Like I'll don't go and check Newsbreak. I haven't checked Newsbreak in a while. For a while, but I occasionally will get something that just catches my eye. I'm pretty much mostly trying to just not be so much into it. You know, Still being into it, but not being like taking like a 20% on it and putting it down to 20%. Basically trying to make it like where my day is not spent 24/7 on political content, and I don't spend 24/7. I do will listen to like when I'm taking a shower, when I get ready for this stream, you know. Um and to be honest, those are the only times that thanks Marcus Blend PFH for joining the Trovo stream. Um where I'm always just listening to content and listening to things for pretty much just what needs to be said, and what I feel like that is out there. And to be honest, like you know, I try to make sure that a lot of the things that I do is just to better America, to make better decisions. Like a lot of things that really inspire America that really should be done is why can't we start why can't we utilize why can't we be like Europe? Why can't we have better, healthier food? Why do we have to use all these chemicals? Why do we have higher um why do we have to have higher drug prices than the rest of the world? You know, like people are gonna tell me, "Oh, California is a bad place. California is bad because they see all this crime and they see this, and it's like, but see, you're sensationalized. You're sensationalized to believe that thing, to believe that you know you go to Japan or you go to California or you go to these places. Sometimes um or when you look at content from people's feeds, like they tell you California is a bad place. But let me be clear. Florida's not bad. The people aren't bad in Florida. It's the government that's bad in Florida. It's the government that's bad in Texas too. When you look at things like those two places that I always put on the height, and these places are worse than the rest of the country. But there are starting to become places that are starting to become worse at a lot of these things. And a lot of these people believe that you go to these places, like it's not horrible to say the least, but when you are um looking at like Japan, or you're looking at these or you're looking at all of these places that are out there that thinks Ed Stir and it's the same thing when you go look at the problems facing in Japan. Like there are some problems that are facing that they do face, but it's sensationalized to believe that Japan is fully a bad country. Well, yes, there are some problems, mostly they have a population crisis and an income crisis. There are some homelessness, but it's not like to the extreme. But there are some graffiti problems. There's a little bit on this, but it's not to the extent of seeing both sides of what's going on. It's not that bad for what it's worth. Like you can say that there are problems and every country has them, but a lot of being sensationalized saying California is a bad place. When have you actually been to California? Have you lived there for at least a couple of years? Have you done that? There are problems. But how much of those problems are compounded in that you say that there's problems in California? But then why don't you do you live in California? Do you live in Texas? Do you live in these places? How bad is it there? And you have to because I feel like I'm gonna get a yep. See? See? See, I get... And I saw that guy go through a red light. That's why I went that way. It's like, but the thing is like, you cannot say that Minnesota's bad. It's starting to become worse than California. No, it's not. Just because of anti-trans, well, guess what? Did you know that because of trans people, did you know that California has the exact same thing going on? Going on? They're gonna have to go 32. I'm not going 60 in this zone. Okay. You know, it's like you can go and you have to really physically live and actually be in a place before you can make that point and make that decision and say this place is bad, this state's bad because of that. It's like, no, if you've lived there and you had to move because of high prices, because your job isn't paying you enough, that's a different story. That's a problem with the income, not a problem with anything else. And that's what we've got to fix. And we got to fix a lot of these things. Instead of just believing left-leaning content or believing right-leaning content, you got to believe what's on the ground happening. It's like that's why Midas Touch does it right. You know, you go look at war-ravaged Portland, that the left or the right are saying this, and it's like, no, the left basically, you go out there and it's like, there's no war going on. There's peaceful things going on. There's just people in costumes sitting over at the ice facility doing, and they blamed that. They basically are going out and saying, oh, war-ravaged Chicago and Minneapolis and all these places, saying California is a bad place. And it's like, no, these places aren't bad. There may be more correlation, but remember, there may be more crime in these places, but that doesn't mean that if you look at it relatively, you cannot say percentage-wise. You cannot say that a 5 million, like a city that has 1 million people, compared to 100,000 or 200,000 people living in that state. You cannot say that. You cannot say that because when you look at the thing is like, oh, you go to this place and say, oh, it's a bad place because oh, there's a lot of crime, there's a lot of bad things, but then you sit there and you're listening to Fox News on a day-to-day basis telling you this, when in reality, like 9 times out of 10, there is nothing going problematic. They just sensationalize. They sensationalize these things. They make it believe that it's bad in your place. It's like, yeah, it's not as bad as people say make it out to be. It's like there may be crime going on a daily basis on almost every day, but guess what? That happens. There's going to be problems because there are going to be people out there that are going to do crime because they have the ability to. There are going to be times where it's been going on for a while that nothing has been ever done to be changed, and sometimes they do crime and they don't want to confess to it. They don't want to admit to it. It's just like Trump does not want to admit that he has crime. He's not going to be able to make it into heaven if he continues to believe that he has done nothing wrong. That that if you don't confess and figure out what you've done with yourself and try to fix your life, then you're not really wanting to change. You're not really wanting to fix those issues and fix the problem with it. And that's the problem. Like, they don't want to admit it, and then when they do, they say they're sorry. But then if you go out and you see somebody saying that exact same thing, and then you go out and dogpile on them because they did the same thing you did, and yet you don't want to. You want to blame it. You want to tell them that they're a bad human being because you did the exact same thing, and it's a very, very big problematic when you see people just sensationalizing these things, where if somebody says something about somebody else and you say something bad about a Democrat because you're a Republican. You're a Republican because you say that Democrats are bad human beings, and they're bad because people say they are, and that's not right. Not every Democrat's a bad human being. Not every Republican's a bad human being. But they sensationalize Democrats as being the worst party in America, and Fox News just goes in and feeds it to you and tells you that they're so bad that they can't even govern right. That they go out and blame Biden for these things. Trump does the same thing, go out and blame Democrats for all the faults that were his own doing or his own problem. Like, he created the NAFTA agreement between Mexico and Canada, and he's now blaming them, and he's putting tariffs on America. He's basically robbing us of our money because he has an alter ego that he just wants everything for himself. He wants all this money from us, and that should not be going on. That should not be happening. You should not be doing this because Ukraine's a lot better. Because they blame they say Ukraine that Trump could have ended the Russia-Ukrainian war in a day, and he hasn't even done that. And it's still going on. And he's like, I could have had this done in a day if people listen. If you just listen and actually, but it's like, and he says he's got 7 wars done in the time that he's like, no, he hasn't. Like, he's potentially could be starting a war with Colombia because of these ships that he's blowing up. Like he wants to create chaos. He wants to create these things so that he can get his way. To blame it always on the Democrats, to blame it on drugs, blame it on these things when there is no due process, no course of making sure things are done properly and done right. Like, this country is like, no wonder why why Canada, why people from Canada are not coming to the United States. No wonder why Canada is deciding to distance themselves from us now. Like we were like Canada and the United States were the best two together before Trump came into office his second term, and now Canada's kind of like, you know, they're not wanting to. They literally ended a a may a mayor literally ended a um uh a transportation thing that they ended up support doing for bringing United States and Canada and bringing them together, and he ended it because of what's going on with America. He does not want to give money to America. You know, um, and it's like, and it's like, there's even some people have more, um, like Doug, like I'm not a big huge Doug Ford fan, or I don't know a lot about Doug Ford, to be honest. Um, but when you look at Doug Ford basically going and utilizing Ronald Reagan and actually Ontario, Canada, coming in and actually putting ads on in the United States, like, they're doing something right when they have that going on, you know, and Canada knows what's going on. When you start seeing people who are leaving, like, I know that there's a lot of people leaving the United States because of Trump. Like, I've seen a couple of people literally leave leave the United. I'm not see, but listened and watched people who have left the United States because of what's going on. Two people, and one I follow because of the transgender problem. Another one because of the um healthcare provided, the nurse who ended up leaving, going to Canada and actually taking her steps. 55-year-old moving to Canada, like, feels like she's in the right spot. Feels like what she's supposed to be doing, you know, and this is this is why I share these things and shared these things earlier, is because a lot of people are there have been at one point where people who um were living in these Texas and living in these places moved for the safety of their family. Like, there are a lot of people out there that, that we could have a better life and better safety in these places if we can just understand that what Trump's doing is 1930s Germany, just modernized, you know, um, and all of this, and so, thanks Lucas for joining the TikTok live thing. Thank you. Um, where, you know, you go and you look at these points, and you know, where Azerbaijan, um, where these things are not perfect, and nobody is the, but with, sorry, with this thing, it's like you look at 1930s Germany, like the same playbook is being used here in the United States 80 years later, only because of the same flaws that are there. They just found a different, well, like we there's a different flaw that was exploited, and now Trump is basically taking control. He wants to get rid of your free speech. He literally said that he wants to get rid of your free speech, that he basically, like, you know, somebody who burns a flag, it's like, I should be able to have the right to burn my own flag if I wanted to. You know, if it's my own flag, I purchased it, I should be allowed to do so. But when uh and stuff, and I should be able to speak the way I want to speak, read a book I want to read. I should be able to sit down and actually read a single book. Doesn't matter what book that is. Doesn't matter if it's LGBTQ. Doesn't matter if it's right leaning book. Doesn't matter if it's you know, uh Harry Potter, which, to be honest, I won't listen to or read or watch any Harry Potter. To be honest, it's actually one of those places that I just won't, because I'm not gonna go sit there and support somebody who follows that exact same playbook, who basically wants to hurt trans people. Like, but it's like I should also, you know, be able to have the right to say something, as long as it does not physically go out and harm somebody. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be these right-leaning people going after Democrats and saying Democrats are the problem and we have to get rid of them because Democrats this, Democrat that. Democrats aren't for the people. Republicans are for the people. And yet every time I hear this from them, it's like I hear it and then I'm like, well, but what about um but what about this? What about that? What about this country? What about that country? What about, you know, um you're not really wanting to fix the issue or fix the problem, because you are basically saying that it's always Democrats' fault for your problems, and you're the one that's at fault for making them. You know, it's like they don't want to swear in Adelita Grahova because they are so worried about what's in the Epstein files. They're so worried about the problem with that when but yet they don't want but yet they want to go after pedophiles, and go after the trans community and claiming that they are one. They want to go after people, and yet they are allowing um these things to not be released because somebody, I know I'm supposed I'm going around in circles. Sorry about that. I Where they're going around and putting people at a point that they want to say that they are for kids, but yet they aren't wanting to, you know, like I said, the universal um healthcare. They don't want to they want to ruin your healthcare. They don't want to open up the government to fix the subsidies. They don't want to go out and fix the issues of these things. and and it's like, but what's the point in all of this? Why why am I having to explain this? I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to sit here and explain to you that, pro-life is basically making sure that everybody gets the opportunity to stay alive, and make sure that we have good health care, making sure that we have vaccines, and taking care of one another, and making sure that we all stay safe, and commonly collective doing these things. It's like vaccines, like if you're not gonna um um if you're not gonna go and get vaccinated, then it's your then you're gonna complain that your child gets sick because you didn't get vaccinated, because your child got the measles, and I should have gotten the vaccine, or we should have gotten this. It's the same people who claimed that COVID-19, the COVID vaccine would have, they didn't get vaccinated with the COVID-19 because it didn't save their lives, because they're lying on their deathbed. You know? And it's the same thing that they claim that autism is a bad thing in society. Autism is not a bad thing at all. It just might mean that you might have to take a little bit extra cautious with them, make sure that, um you might have to make sure that people like me and other people just make sure that you understand a little bit more. Understand, instead of just putting people down and putting people away because that's what you want. You want to take away these people's livelihood. Like I'm gonna tell you, like, yeah, you may be against trans people, but if you're saying that you are, and you're willing to go out and vote for somebody because of that issue, you need to really stop voting based on one issue alone. Like, I will tell you, like, most of the time, like, do we got any? Um, okay. We do have gas there, but I'm hopeful that it's like one of those things where I look at the issues that are at hand, and issues that come across the these things. Like, I am not usually a decision on one thing or the other. Basically, what I do is, there are three things that I'm not one issue, I'm always on these three issues, and I always select these three issues when I vote. And the first one is, I always make sure that, are you going to be willing to support the LGBTQ community, including the trans people? Are you willing? How 31 minutes to there. Okay. I'm always gonna be that's someone that's also going to be willing to, um, are you willing to take healthcare seriously? Seriously. Are you willing to not only take the healthcare, um, jointly, or not only that, but also are you willing to find a way to protect kids and make sure that kids have a good life, and making sure that, you know, um, and also making sure that your willingness to better the economy. And those are the four, really the four issues that I really stand upon. It's like, I don't care, like, I am somebody that will stay and vote for all four of those things. I am going to tell you, I'm pro-life when I want to protect a trans person, including a trans child. I am pro-life when I want children to be able to have the necessary care that is needed. I am somebody there that's willing and wanting to protect the the care for adults and protect the care for a lot of people in society, and making sure that we can survive and live happier, longer lives. I'm not Now, I know that at some point we're all gonna die. Um, now I know I'm and since we're here, might as well fill up here as well. Since I have to be here. um, so I am only. Did we have any cars coming that way? We do not. I have a car coming this way, but they're gonna have to slow down and wait for me to pass, or they're just going to turn. But like I'm always gonna tell you, is like, I always pick and decide that, hey, look, I need to make sure that, the things that I care most about in life are those four pillars. And the biggest one that I will always, like, if you're anti-LGBTQ, you're probably going to be less likely for me to vote for you. Um, you're gonna be highly less likely for me to vote for you in a lot of these hot button issues, hot button topics on that. I will not budge on that. I will not budge um on that issue. Pretty much, mostly. Yes, I'm guess you could say I'm a one button topic issue, but not really, because the other one is like, if you're not willing to help the economy, then I'm also not going to vote for you. That's simple as that. Like, if you're not willing to better the economy and say that you're going to better the economy, but are you willing to do that? And it's like, that's the whole point of all of this is like I voted Democrat in 2024, not because I'm a left-leaning Democrat. Actually, look, I will tell you, until 2022, pretty much, I was a Republican. I voted Republican. I voted that way. I pretty much voted even, and to be honest, I voted Kristi Noem. I voted Donald Trump twice, and I regret all of my decisions. I know I voted Kristi Noem in 2016. I know I voted for her at least somewhere that I voted for, and I thought she was great for South Dakota. Thought she was great for it, and now it's like, but now she's kind of the whole reason why I disregard voting for her, and I disregarded it because I felt like, oh well, I should say, like, I thought she was going to be a great person, and so I did not vote for her the second time. Um, I think I voted for her in 28. I think I voted for her at least somewhere along the line. Um, but then when it came time for me to vote for governor in 2022, I voted for the Democratic Party. I voted left because it was one of those things where, and it was all before the bad just talk about what going on with Kristi Noem for it now. It was more because I started realizing in 2020 was kind of where I kind of started leaning a lot more towards the left. I started leaning a little bit more towards the left because of Trump and because of the things, and seeing that some of these people were not really people I would have voted for and people I would have absolutely willing to go and vote based on a lot of it. Like when 2020, basically January 6th was what really pushed me over the edge, was seeing that, and to be honest, like I will tell you, like I was a Republican. I'd watch CBS. I would watch mostly CBS, and I still ended up voting Republican. I still ended up watching local news that, and things, and I still ended up voting like that. And to be honest, I don't do that anymore. I don't vote Republican. I vote Democrat, and I now don't listen to CBS News as much as I used to. I listen to independent media. I listen to David Packman. Sometimes I'll listen to Harry Sisseton. Sometimes I will listen to Midas Touch. Sometimes I I listen to Fair and Balance, and sometimes I will listen to these things. Um, listening to Tennessee Brando, and mainly listening to just those people. Um, and that's what I do. I don't listen to left. I don't listen to I listen to independent. I don't listen to mainstream media as much as I used to. Like, I will occasionally listen to MSNBC on an occasion. Um, and that's it. It's like I don't care anymore. I genuinely think that our landscape of the media that gets pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed are not really pushing to the point to make things. And I understand that sometimes they have to be leery about what they say on TV because the these things, but they don't have to be leery and say, oh well, no, we can do this a little bit on TV, but they can be a little bit more unhinged online and push a little bit more like what Midas Touch is doing. Because, look, you kind of need to really think about that. Oh, it's basically just not sharing every piece of news, every piece of legislation. Like, most of the time you go and you watch the mainstream media, and it's like, well, did they talk about what's going on in it's like you go look and you listen to CBS Evening News. You're not going to get everything that's being done just by listening to an evening news. You're not going to get everything listening to on that side, or listening to the right, or listening to a left, or listening to whatever comes out of a mainstream too, because you're not going to get everything. You're not going to be able to hear everything. This is why you listen to this is why you go and have like the three things that I would highly recommend. Like, I don't do one of the third one. Having your independent media, having a little bit of your national, and having a little bit of your local. I don't do as much on the local, but you should at least try to get into some local stuff too. Don't just sit back and say, "Oh, you're not going to get what's going on in your local area." Your local area may tell you this. Like, your local area may tell you a small percentage of what's going on, and you may hear a little bit what's going on in your national, but you hear it in your local, a little bit in your local area. It's like, yeah, okay, but you look at that, but then you also have to think about when you go and listen to your regular, I guess basically you're not going to get your local. You sometimes have to pay attention to what's going on locally and do that. Like, you're not going to know about what's going on in your local area if you just pay attention to just the national. Because if you listen to CBS, like, yeah, if you have a CBS station like WCCO or out of Minneapolis, or you have these national places, like seriously, buddy, like, I'm trying to thanks Penitar 007 for joining the Trovo stream. Thank you. And thank you, KJR, for joining the TikTok live. Remember, guys, if you guys are enjoying yourselves today, make sure you guys are hitting that follow. Make sure you guys are hitting that subscribe. If you guys are enjoying this, remember, we only talk political content in the afternoons. Nights, we stick away from it. We make that as much as apparent as we can. It may be on an occasional time where I might talk about it on my night streams, but I try to stay away from it because I want to be able to take time away from political content, take away that time away from not actually being 24/7 on this all the time. So we pretty much usually we go from 3 to 6 in the afternoon, sometimes 4 to 6, sometimes 4:30 to 6. And sometimes we go from 3 till 5:30, 6, whatever. Afternoons is kind of a little bit of toss up in the air, but my night streams are dead center. Most of the time 9, 10 o'clock till 2 a.m. in the morning. Sometimes not 9 o'clock is where I'm doing Save the World, and it's not supposed to be Fortnite, and we don't do that around. I don't share you guys Save the World all the time. Like, tonight will be Save the World. Tonight will be over Fortnite, and then the other there'll be some other goodies and things going on. But anyway, getting back onto our topic, is that you can't just say you rely on the independent and the like. If you just rely on just listening to CBS Evening News, that's all you're going to get. You're not going to get the whole story. You're not going to get all the stuff that's going on in Trump's world. You're not going to know what's going on in these things. I pretty much will tell you, I listen to, if you're going to talk non-American stuff, occasionally I will listen to Canada, through Charlie Angus. I will occasionally listen to, Um, with my Such Canada, I will sometimes will listen to CBC, sometimes I will listen to NHK, for Japan, and guess what? I get a little bit of the worldwide view, just to see what they're talking about. Um, just to see what they're talking about. What's this? International Seaport Trade. Um, and so I get what, like, why did I get a trailer damage? Like, I don't get. Mostly it's these wheels. And everything else is kind of. Okay, we're gonna load in and see if we're still having that same issue. So thanks your Fav Trip for joining the TikTok live. Thank you. So it's like you have to really think about that you're not gonna get your news just by listening to me. You're not gonna get your news just by listening to Midas Touch. You're not gonna get the whole picture of what's being done, what's being said. Is so that means we're gonna have to go around, like this right here. Like this roundabout is not supposed to be here. On the map. Like you're supposed to go to the right and then that's why I said I'm gonna try a different. That's why we're gonna try something a little bit different. Thanks your Fav Trip for joining the TikTok live. Okay, so see, sometimes you go in and then you get like, you might have to reset yourself and go the other side. But there's a lot of yeah, I don't get it why why am I doing this? Why I just went around in circles again? Sometimes I make those. Argamata UAB. Alright. So we are getting to the point of most likely getting close to our stream to be ending here soon, guys. Um, so it's a little bit different. So that's going up to that point that way. You took Gambaras? And then that goes up to that point that way. Turkmenistan, Turkmenistan. Basically, we're going that way. That way should be okay. We are traveling all over the place today. We are absolutely at like almost 4K, 400K. We got 6 hours left on our absolute time. Okay, so let's go to company. Let's go to garage manager. Lilyhammer, we're going to upgrade you. Because only to upgrade to upgrade our that. This one, not gonna upgrade yet. The DAF is right there. We could upgrade you, but we're not going to. So now if we go to truck manager, okay, Lilyhammer is using the Volvo FH3. So we're gonna use the Volvo used truck. We got the Volvo FH3 Globetrotter XL right there. It's gonna need some work, but we can. As Lilyhammer uses the Volvo FH3s because of that. Let's go to Truck Manager. We're gonna go all the way down here to the Volvo FH3. We're going to upgrade you because we have the funds. And it's by the 6x2 tag lift. So basically, and then 12x2 speed. We'll leave it the exclusive. Put my logo on this. Okay. And we're just going to confirm that for now. Okay. It's now become a drivable state for it. And then now we're going to come over here. We're going to copy this config from this truck. And we're going to confirm you for that one. Okay. Now let's go to used trucks again. We are on the DAF, right? We're going to see if we got the DAF XD Sleeper. For it's 165. We're gonna basically company let me go to Garage Manager. Let me double check. Lilyhammer, yeah, we could also have 2 drivers if I make use of the used truck space. We go to the Volvo FH3 Globetrotter. Right here, the FH3 Globetrotter, which is in great condition. We can order you as well. And we now have 2 extra drivers available. Now, with that putting us down there, services, no, company, truck manager. Okay, down here, the Volvo FH3 here is not going to get us the high we're gonna be able to upgrade. I don't want to upgrade that. We are in a 6x2, so that's fine. We can upgrade this point. We can upgrade to here, and we can still have my trucking logo for now, and we can confirm this order, which means now we're going to be at 700. It's the only one that's going to be at 700 for its ranking safety. Now the Scania S's, now of course I believe the Scania S's can go higher for it. They can go to 7,300 horsepower. We will upgrade those at some point. The Scania S's will be able to shift a lot of we'll be able to shift a lot of those up, but we haven't upgraded the Scania S's yet because we just don't have the funds, and I think we should be able to get those upgraded so they can get further and better before we absolutely finish. But we're now going to hire a couple of drivers. J, Chris K, R, that looks like, no, Christopher B, um, Jay-Z? Really? Okay, so not many. And we don't have a lot of money right now. We're stuck with 540. We're stuck with 540. Isaiah, thanks Isaiah for joining the TikTok live thing. Thank you. How far do we gotta go? We got a 6-hour trip time. We'll see how far we get by 5:30, and I'm gonna get off. Cause I gotta do a lot of things. But guys, give me a minute. I'm gonna take a quick break. I'll be right back. I'm back. I am back again. Okay. Anyway, I just went to go to the bathroom and kind of did a couple other things. Just to see what we're gonna have, see what my mom wanted for supper. But one of the things that I wanted to share, wanted to make sure that you guys know is that don't just listen to everything. But don't like if you have to take a break. Don't just listen to political news 24/7. Take a couple days off. It's not gonna it's gonna still be here. It's still gonna be here when you come back. you know? You know, it's not like you have to go and listen to David 24/7 or listen to political news 24/7. Take a day, take a couple days off, come back. If you have to take a month off, take a month off. Like, we're still gonna be here, these things, but more than not, it's kind of hard to take that. And then it tells me I can go to 110. It's like, what? Like, I got a speeding ticket for going this way. But there's a lot of things, guys, that I just want to really iterate. Is a trans person, 90% of people, 90% of all identities, majority of those people aren't going to commit the crime within the identity. Whether you're a Republican, whether you're a Democrat, whether you are a Christian, whether you're not a Christian, whether you're an atheist, whether you are a Jewish or Muslim or anything. There are going to be some people in all of these groups that are going to be radicalized, and then some people are just going to get pulled in who weren't radicalized before, and it's just going to continue to take that. It's just like MAGA. Like, they are pretty much, to me, not all MAGA people are bad people. Not all MAGA people are that way, but there are just some that are radicalized to the point of follow that, push this narrative out there, and then kind of come in and believe these things. It's like there are these people out there that believe in conspiracy theory upon conspiracy theory, saying that, you know, do aliens exist? Do these things really exist? Of course there are aliens that exist, but they're gonna look more like you and I. They're just gonna be people that, you know, it's gonna be somebody that, you know, there are people out there that believe that that your eyes are completely pitch black, and they believe that you're an alien, that you are some god-awful person, and it's like, but they're not. It's like this this thing is where, you know, you drink Mountain Dew and say that, oh, Mountain Dew is a bad thing. That Mountain Dew, because I drink Mountain Dew on a daily basis. You know, I drink Mountain Dew as that, and I've had people say that it's bad for you. Yes, it's bad for you, but it's not in the sense that, you know, it has that these things are bad because they are using dead baby cells, or what, because they're using dead babies and all of these things. It's like, okay, but where's you getting that information? You're getting that information from an actual verifiable person who's gone and gotten their doctorate degree. Have you actually sat down and actually listened to somebody who follows God, who believes in God, who listens to God, that is a doctor? Because I do. I know somebody who passed away was a heart surgeon, and knows that vaccines are safe. Vaccines are absolutely God-given, and you can't, and you can't, and like, people are gonna say, oh no, this isn't God's medicine, this isn't that. It is, because you just have a narrow-mindedness that people are never gonna change on these things. But when you have a trans, like, most of the time you look at a cisgendered person with with that. There are going to be countless times where a cisgendered person gets miscategorized as a trans person, gets miscategorized as a um miscategorized as these things. It's like I was watching a thing where this child shouldn't be wearing pink. This child shouldn't be feminine. Shouldn't be this. Shouldn't be that. Shouldn't be this that, and you name the whole thing. I'm like, no. That that is no way, shape, or form is that a problem. Okay, because they go out and blame and say, oh well, people should be masculine. People should be doing masculine things, and I'm like, okay, then tell me this: if you're wanting somebody to go play wimpy ass football, like I don't watch football because all it is like you have all this protective gear and all of this, and you're saying you wanted them to toughen up and say go play football. Football may be a manly sport, but then what about? But then you're gonna go out there and you're gonna say, oh well, a man, like a man should be like shouldn't be cooking. A man shouldn't be doing these things. But yet, um, a man should cook. A man should take. It shouldn't be a man's complete job to do everything in the house. It shouldn't be a woman's job to completely do everything in the house. It should be both. They should both cook. They should both clean. They should both take care of the kids. Instead of just being in a straight family. And it should be the same thing for a gay family. And it should be the same thing for any family situation. Everybody should be equally working together as a society instead of it. And that's the whole issue with all of this that I have, is like you don't seem to really vastly care about these issues. You don't care about the situation of that you're narrow-mindedness because you're a Christian, but yet a Christian should be working together and working together to help better society instead of putting people down because they're trans or because they're gay or because there's some belief of a religion, like your religion. Oh, I'm not going to help you because your religion's a Catholic religion. Like, whoop-de-doo. Because you're a because you belong to the Muslim community. It's like, I don't care. I don't care what church you belong to. As long as you are willing to be nice to me, I'll be nice to you. And that's how it should be. That's all that matters. Is if you're going to be nice and be thankful. And one of the many things that I always do around here is if you're not going to be nice about somebody, you're gonna play, you're not gonna be nice, you're not gonna be making things being about that, then you're not gonna be around me anymore. I've made this clear, and I'm making this clear now, because it's like if you're not gonna be nice to somebody, then don't speak at all. Like, yes, we have, let's like, I sit here and I listen to listen to Glass and Scarlet get all antsy about, about the sports issue, where, oh, they get, Um, it's it's where, you know, you can be friends and still be friends because you have a disagreement on a sport, on a team. It's like you go out and you say, oh well, you're a you're a Cowboys fan, and you're a and it's like, you know, oh, you look at the or you're an Eagles fan or whatnot, and you go and you bash the other team for it, and it's like, that's bashed me for saying that you know, saying that the Vikings lost. It's like, what do you do? I don't care. I just said, we'll see what goes, we'll see what happens. Like, I say this all the time. And it's like, you don't know the outcome of what's going to happen because it's a new season, and that's what I said. That's basically how I put it. I don't care if my team loses. I don't care. I'm pretty much like, whatever. I'm not this tribalistic person that says, oh, my team's gonna win the Super Bowl every year. It's like, I don't care if my team wins the Super Bowl or not. I don't care, because I don't sit down and actually say I'm rooting for this person to rooting for this team because of it. It's like, I never. It's like, look, I went, like, my first ever going to an actual football team. I was going to Dakota. I was going to a in South Dakota. I was going to a school that had a ride that I had friends from high school that that went to the competing side, the other team, that went to the other, played for the other team on the opposite side, and I went there and I just went to watch my friends play football. I didn't care if my team won or lost. I didn't care because I never really cared about it. I never really cared if I won a sport. I never really cared if I really truly won a medal in Special Olympics. I never cared, because, to be honest, it's like they're just things. It was just a place for me to go hang and hang out with people. You know, I never really took that into a lot of consideration, where I didn't play a lot of these games just because I mean, not I went and played these games, like, I went to go and have fun just to go hang out with people. I never, I was somebody that always took my Thursdays, like, I always, like, when I was going to school, I always took Thursdays. I always took the time on Thursdays to basically, where I always basically took my Thursdays and I went and played board games. I took my time away from electronics to go play an arcade, like, not like a archaic way of playing games. Like, but to be honest, playing a board game is so fun because you're hanging around with people, you're being around people, and I love Magic. I love pretty much, you know, um, a lot of these things. I'm just really just somebody that doesn't really um, I don't hang out. I don't like being around a lot of people. I'm not somebody like that. But it's like, I don't like being around large crowded people. That's the one thing I just don't like, is being around large crowds, like, when it's not necessary. I guess I can be around large crowds of people. I just prefer not to. Um, you know, it's one of those things where that's how I am, and you know, uh, but to be honest, it's just, the thing is like, I am gonna tell you, like, I'm happy for who I am. I'm not gonna change a lot about me. There are some things that I do need to change. I will admit that, but I'm not gonna change for who I am, for being transgender. I am not gonna change that about me. That's the one thing I will not change. I'm dead set and I'm not gonna change it because it's who I am. And, you know, there are things that I need to work on in my life by just getting a job, by, um, breaking some of those habits that I have that I need to be better about. It's like I need to do a lot of those things, and it's one of those things that we can learn, and we can be better about that. Now, I noticed um that we had that thing there. I don't understand this portion right here. I don't understand it at all. But it's these things that I try to change a lot of what. It's like, how am I speeding when it goes from 110 and then it goes down to 60? And I'm like, I'm trying to, like, I don't get it. It's like, should I stay at 60? Should I stay at this? It's like, what? Ugh. But it's like, I'm gonna tell you, it's like, I am not somebody that's going out there and going to say, look, everybody has problems. Everybody does. Everybody struggles with something. And I'm not going to say that I know everything. I don't claim to know that I'm a doctor. I'm not a doctor. A I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a politician, to be more honest. I don't know everything, the ins and outs of everything. I'm not somebody that is out there trying to do things, but I'm going to tell you, like, I'm trying my best to every day. I'm trying to be better every day, and that's all that matters. You know, thanks Rob for joining the TikTok live. So I am I'm doing it there. Now I'm going to tell you guys, I'm about to get off here shortly. Um, I want to see, we got about an hour left of this. I'm going to try to get off at 5:45. I need to go and make some supper. Tonight, it's one of those things that I have to do, and it's one of those things that I do every day. Even as somebody that, you know, like, if you're gonna look at somebody and say that you don't want them to become gay, well, but did you know that by becoming gay, that, that if that child's gay, you support them. If that child wants to wear pink, let them wear pink. If that child wants to be that way, you don't need to change somebody, force them to change. They have to have the willingness to change. Okay? You can teach them, you can love them, you can care for them, you can do all these things, but you aren't gonna inevitably force and change somebody. Like, look, if today it's like my mom there are a lot of things that I wish I didn't lose on a lot of things that I did in my childhood that I wish, or even when I was an adult, that there were some things that my mom tried to change me. and it didn't change. I didn't change because of that. I didn't change, like, they didn't force me, like, my mom didn't force me to change who I was. She didn't, like, I will tell you, like, she tried, but it didn't work. Like, it didn't solve my problem. I'm gonna tell you, like, I am somebody that, um, that I don't change a lot on my values on a lot of things. I only have a handful of things that I will change, and that's it. That I've changed over the years, that I have shifted, and those things are still with me today. You know, if I was like, there are some things that I wish I hadn't have done when I was younger, and I could have changed those things, and wish I could change those things. Some of those times, I wish I could just change and come back, change those things, and not make those mistakes. You know, but I can change it, and I can change for who I am, and my willingness to change. I'm willing to change, willing to change for better, learn from my mistakes. It's like, look, it's like one thing after another. It's like, I will tell you, it's like, I wanna, um, there's a lot of things that I wanted to do as a child, that I wanted to wear women's clothes as a child, and I couldn't. Of course, some of that stuff was, I shouldn't have taken those stuff, shouldn't have taken those things as a child, but but we make those mistakes. We learn, we make better upon those things. Okay, I am going to be admittedly, um that I'm going to admittedly that we make those mistakes, but we can learn to fix them. You know, learning not to take things when you shouldn't. There's an occasional time where a lot of the things that I have in my wardrobe, some of those things are fixable. We can fix the things that we make in our wardrobe. We can change you know, to be honest, like for me, one of the things that, you know, I will tell you, like, I don't go as far as a lot of these people. I don't go and get tattoos. I don't go out and get um, um, I don't go out and get uh, I don't go out and drink coffee or tea, because some of that's just part of religion and things that I won't change. Like, I'm not gonna go out there and do those things when when God has directed us not to. I'm not somebody that's going to go out there, like, tattoo. I don't know about the tattoo thing, but um I'm not going to go out there and get these things because these things are relatively, you know, bad for you, or relatively in those wheelhouse of changing um um So I'm like, I'm not going to go out and like physically change some things about my life. And maybe what I'm doing right now may not be what God wants me to be doing. But we gotta learn to work with that. We gotta learn to maybe change some things about our life. You know, you can't just say that, you know, the right or the left or this or that or X, Y, or Z. I know I'm almost there. I'm just gonna finish this and then we're just gonna rightly hop off. I'm not gonna go out and hire 2 drivers this time. I will make sure I do it tomorrow. We'll hire a couple more drivers tomorrow. Um, but it's one of those things where I will tell you, like, I am somebody that you have. Like, I absolutely love this area. Like, this is genuinely a 2-day trip. Like a 2-stream trip. Like a 2-stream trip. Like, some of these trips can take you like 2 days to get them done and 2 days to do them in. Which is fine. I don't mind taking a couple of trips a day. I'm just gonna hit confirm those results because there's no way I'm gonna be able you know what, actually let me go to used trucks. Not you. Yeah, let me go to used trucks. Let me check to see if we got any DAF. No, okay. Let's go to services. Actually not services, truck manager. All the way down here. No. Let's go up to this Volvo FH3. We're going to copy the config from here. Okay. We won't be able to copy that here, so we're just going to pretty much see what we can upgrade here. Because upgrading you is going to take us to 40. Yeah, it's going to take us a lot more. We could just do this. Just get it up to the max that we can, and then let's go to the recruitment agency. Okay. Mark M is gonna get hired. Um, um, I know I said I was gonna do this, but I have a little bit of time. Hey. It's gonna go down there. Now, let's get a truck manager. We'll just leave it there, and then guys, we will save our game, and we'll get off. Hope you guys enjoyed today. Make sure you guys are followed on Trovo. Make sure you guys are followed on Trovo, TikTok. It's free to do so, as well as subscribing on YouTube. To do so are all free. But subscribing on Trovo is not. Past live streams are not free, but you guys can watch past live streams like that, and other things throughout the day. So yeah, so we'll catch you guys later. Bye.